Hi, welcome back to the Political Beat at LFpress.com. This is London's favorite internet-based television program. This is Chip. I'm Pat. We cover City Hall here in London, Ontario for the Free Press and LFpress.com. And did we do a video last week? I don't think we did.
No, we didn't, because our esteemed videographer, Maurice Lamont, was off again.
Oh, he was on vacation. Yeah. So,
yes.
So we're back for the first time in 2 weeks, and there's always, I always think, like, what the heck are we going to talk about today? And I always say heck when I ask myself that question. What the heck are we going to talk about today? And there's always so much stuff to talk about.
You're very polite with yourself, I've noticed.
But then there's always so much stuff to talk about. Let's start with the council pay raise. So there's a task force of citizens, volunteers, who put in lots of time and effort to give council their recommendation on whether or not council and the mayor deserve a pay raise. And oddly, it is up to council and the mayor to vote on their own pay raise, which is
eventually,
which is an awkward situation. And the city's hope is that a decision is made by year's end, because as of January 2nd or 4th or something, you can start putting in your nomination papers to run for the 2014 election.
Knowing full well what you will be.
So you'll know full well exactly what you're going to make.
Yep.
The committee is recommending there's no need to give politicians a pay raise. Essentially, they make, if you're a councillor, you make $36,262. That's without getting into the details, that's what you're still going to be making. The mayor makes $130,916, so $130,916. They're recommending that those numbers don't change. I think you agree with that recommendation.
Well, first of all, those are as if they made real dollars, and that's not the way it appears. They have 1/3 of their salary is tax free, so it looks like we're paying them less than we really are. It's a very complicated thing that was established by the province, giving them a 1/3 tax allowance, and the citizen committee that's looked into this has said that in the interest of transparency, get rid of it. I agree 100%.
Right,
People should know exactly what they are earning. If I know what I'm making and I know what I'm going to be making in there, I don't want to have to rely on all these mathematical equations to try to figure out what I'm really earning.
Right, I didn't want to, that is confusing though, but essentially they take home the equivalent, if you're a councillor, of $36,262, and under the recommendation, they would now take home that much in real dollars.
That's
so
right.
they'd still be making the same amount of money.
Exactly.
And the mayor would be making...
I think that's only fair. I know you disagree, but I think that it's a part-time job in the City of London to be a city councillor. If someone wants to work full-time, that's their business, but the pay is part-time, and I think that's the way it should be. That keeps members of council engaged in the community, where they will likely have to work as well as play and sleep and do all the business, is that it keeps them grounded to reality, the fact that they are part-time councillors rather than career politicians with their staffs and all that level of insulation.
So you're agreeing with the recommendation that 100%, they don't get a pay raise?
100%, so, and removing the tax-free allowance.
So when you see MPs making six figures who have absolutely, in my opinion, zero accountability locally, no scrutiny from the press, and that's the kind of the prism I'm looking at it through. And these guys, every time they turn around, there's a headline about them, and they make a third or a fourth or a fifth of what the MPs and the MPs.
I disagree, because I think the MPs and the MPPs work harder than you're giving them credit for. They have a lot of work to do, both in Ottawa, at Queen's Park, also in constituency work, and they're also showing up at functions and events on weekends and evenings and during vacation time, etc. I think that they probably earn their money, although we do not give them the intense scrutiny that we give to local politicians.
There's no scrutiny.
There is scrutiny in terms of Queen's Park coverage and what their party is doing, and there they are responsible, unlike here, for what their leader does.
There they are responsible.
If Hudak is not electable province-wide, doesn't matter how good the local candidate is, probably not going to get in.
Your point.
They wear baggage that local politicians don't seem to. One would have thought that the troubles of Mayor Fontana might have had some impact on members of council, but it doesn't seem to.
Yeah, it's a good point. I wouldn't be aghast if this committee said, give them a pay raise, and I certainly wouldn't be aghast if. No, well, it would be a bit different if council says, let's set aside this recommendation and vote ourselves a raise. I don't see anybody doing that.
No, I can't see it.
Particularly with a campaign year looming,
right.
But
that's right.
I'm just saying I think they're underpaid. I think they're underpaid.
I think they should work to the level of their compensation.
Now 130,000 for the mayor, that seems reasonable to me.
And the comparison with other municipalities, we're in the ballpark. I don't think London members of council, including the mayor, are hard done by at all. I note that in Windsor, the pay raise is considerably higher, and of course the members of council down there and the mayor will have to deal with the electorate on that.
Yeah, and again, there's the other point that if you pay somebody more money, do you get better candidates or do you just get more candidates?
Or do you get professional politicians? That's my concern.
Right, which is a great point, and that's exactly what you don't want.
I certainly don't.
Yeah, and I think any right-thinking person or any reasonable person would agree with you on that. And it is interesting, though.
Why won't you agree with me then?
I think they deserve a pay raise. I think $36,000 a year for the amount of work they do is outrageous.
But so you're not agreeing with me. You said any reasonable person would agree with me, and now you're not agreeing with me.
No, would agree with me that you don't want a career politician. $45,000 a year is not going to get you a career politician. That's all I'm saying.
Morris, can I scratch his eyes out?
Oh yeah, that's right. You know what's interesting though?
Wrong. You're the famous for wrong opinions, and you've done it again.
That task force asked council to anonymously put in their own suggestions, and one councilor said, as we reported,
3 times.
$100,000.
Yeah, wanted 3 times raise.
Do you want to take a guess who it was? No, don't answer that. Don't answer that. Don't answer that. Let's move on to another really interesting
issue. We can round up the usual suspect on that one.
This was a great story you had on the future of London's disjointed effort to potentially, maybe, perhaps, think about possibly building a performing arts center, and Councillor Dale Henderson has weighed in. Give us a sense of what he said at the Investment and Economic Prosperity.
Well, he didn't say anything. They wouldn't let him say anything, but he brought a letter in late in the process. They've got 2 projects, one from Orchestra London and one from Grand Theatre, that are being analysed by the by City Hall, that have some of the heavy hitters beside each of the projects. Yeah. And now, partway through the project, Dale Henderson, the idea guy of council, sends in this letter out of the blue to the Investment and Prosperity Committee. He says, I, Dale Henderson, request permission from the chair and members of the Investment and Economic Prosperity Committee to draft a business proposal for a local performance arts center. This draft proposal will be completed in 3 weeks and will include summary, objective, design and development plan opportunities, financial forecast, revenue streams, funding opportunities, expected profits, operating model, and partners. Well, he didn't even get a chance to raise that because the city lawyer got on his feet and said, this is like a procurement process we're going through, looking at these 2 proposals, and if now you inject a member of council into this process with another idea, you could be it could be seen as prejudicing prejudice to those 2 proposals, even though they're not very good proposals. He talked about the need to bring them together, that members of the community want those 2 proposals brought together in order for something to happen. He says when this was shot down, he says now London won't get a performing arts center. And
now, what was the basis for that comment?
He says that basically the people in London and council want to see a unified proposal, and he would be unifying. He'd be the
He's the bridge builder. He's the pontiff.
He would bring everything into the Henderson tent, and he would probably be the ringleader somehow or other, and that he would work wonders where others can't. So it was an interesting try, and yet again Dale came in with an interesting idea that was not that well researched and basically has fallen flat.
Worth noting too that
does he deserve a raise, by the way?
That's a good question.
Council?
That's a good question. But I will point out that he has a history of running a similar facility, maybe not in the most successful manner, which is also an interesting little
Well, he told me that at the end of the day he broke even on the London Music Hall over at the Western Fair District, which is now a flat parking lot, and it was a fairly new facility with which he worked, and he put, I think, $3 or $4 million into. Apparently that didn't fly, and yet somehow this was going to. Go figure.
So again, this idea has just been pushed right aside.
They're not even going to look at it. They just noted and filed it, said we're not even going to hear from him. We can't because of the legal issues at stake here. So let's move on and continue our. What's the timing on the staff report back on the 2 proposals?
Well, by year's end, I think the idea is that council will have made a decision on whether or not to go forward with one of the 2 proposals,
or not at all,
or neither. Yeah. Certainly in time for the budget. I suspect then it sounds like Dale is a definite no. So you can add Dale to the definite no with Orser
and others. Yeah.
I just don't. I don't see either of these getting approved. But anyway.
Quite frankly, I agree with you that I don't think either is going to fly. And I think at the end of the day, people will say, "Hey, nice try, folks," but so not now.
That could be like what the 10th failed attempt to build a.
But if it fails and they're both shot down, Dale may bring this up again.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, absolutely.
He was suggested. The mayor actually suggested to him that we do have these things on the table, Dale, and if they both get shot down, then maybe the time is right to consider what you've got in mind.
Speaking of bureaucratic bullshit, that was.
Do we have to bleep that?
You can bleep that, right, Morris? That was the term that the mayor used last week when staff was laying out their plans for basically something of an overhaul on the city's bus system, and 17-year project, pretty expensive, long timeline. The mayor thought it was too long, and that's the term he used. He said, "Don't give me this bureaucratic bullshit." And I certainly, staff were not too pleased by it. I was sort of shocked by it, but then again, we have I think it's 5 examples since he's been in office of him publicly swearing. Do you care that he swears in public?
I'm no prude. A mayor speaks for a city. He's speaking for all of us when he speaks, whether we like it or not. I think it's low class. I think it's beneath the office of the mayor. I think he's bringing his Timmins Street Fighter techniques here to London, and I think it's unbecoming in a political forum. He told the Prime Minister to get his ass down here.
Get back to the table, Caterpillar. Get your ass down here, Prime Minister Harper. Support the things, and let's build the best locomotives in the world.
He told students that if they were going to party with him, and that hard work was all bullshit. Another time he used that term. I think it's very low class and unbecoming.
But it is his style, clearly, right? And he's obviously made it very clear that that's how he wants to be perceived, as sort of he's willing to talk like the average guy.
Just pick up the damn leaves.
Just pick up the damn leaves
going, because it was a breath of fresh air. But quite frankly, I think that fresh air is getting a little stale.
But I also think too that to swear directly at the staff is really what's the word I'm looking for here?
Unbecoming?
Well, no, it's just, I mean, that's an understatement. It's over the line. You had Joe Swan a couple weeks ago refer to a plan that staff had laid out as half-assed. And I'm wondering, are we seeing a situation where people are starting to get ready for re-election and they're saying, hey, if things haven't been done,
it's not my
fault. These bungling bureaucrats over here.
That's right. And there's some frustration, obviously, that's evident on the part of members of this council that they haven't accomplished the things that they said they were going to accomplish. That we're in the go fast, move mode right now. Fontana's behind it, but there are other members of council are there, and quite frankly, they're looking for scapegoats, and they're looking for, trying to explain why they haven't succeeded in doing what they said they would do. That's inappropriate.
But to blame the staff, which in my opinion, most of the staff over there pretty good.
There's some pretty good staff at City Hall, and I recommend anyone of the public to go and watch a City Hall meeting and listen to the staff and read their reports. They are very professional.
I also recommend reading the reports to any member of council. Now that we're on the subject.
Read the report. Yes,
yeah, that's
exactly.
Anyway, so I suppose it is low class. It's his style, and I just wondered, is this something we're going to hear more about at all? Staff standing in the way of this, that, and the other thing, and it's not moving as fast as I'd like it. And
I think it will be seen for what it is: scapegoating.
Maybe so. Great, Chip. Thanks. Thank you for watching.
Oh, do we have the election number? We're going to one more time.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we could just run the election hotline one more time.
If we could do it down here.
The calls are sort of dried up on that.
Have they?
The last couple of weeks.
Maybe
we didn't have a video last week. So if you're thinking of running for council or maybe even for mayor, give us a call. We'd love to talk to you about it.
The election hotline is ready and available 24/7.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time at lfpress.com.